Chinese point of view, the war in Ukraine is like manna from heaven.
Henry Kissinger
Okay.
over here.
They love this war. Number one, okay, because it's interfering with the U.S.'s pivot to Asia. We were basically in the process of redeploying all of our force, all of our military to containing them in East Asia. And now we're bogged down in Europe. Okay. So that's number one. Number two, we are massively depleting our stockpiles of weapons. We've used something like 9 years of Stingers and 5 years of Javelins, and we're running out of ammunition. I can't believe it, but we're running out of artillery. The Russians actually have a 6-to-1 artillery advantage, which is why they're actually doing much better in this war than people are acknowledging. We should come back to that. The last thing is that the Chinese now are benefiting from the economic sanctions on Russia because Russia is now selling them oil and gas and all of their minerals at a big discount.
A subsidy. Yeah.
So this has been a wonderful thing from the Chinese standpoint. So this is the problem with us thinking in this Marvel movie way of the world in which we're the super friends and we're against the Legion of Doom, okay, is because there is no natural alliance in the real world between China, Russia, and Iran. These are three very different regimes with different types of governments who naturally would not get along. They would be adversaries. Naturally, they'd be suspicious of each other, as China and Russia were during the Cold War. But we have pushed them closer together. This is the problem with having this overly moralistic view of foreign policy.
Over to you, Jason. What do you think? Tell us.
Is there a
Jason.
question? Is there a question? What's the question?
Yeah, I mean, you frame it as the Legion of Doom, so just explain.
Well, it's the axis of evil. The 50% of
Look,
the
let me
50%.
tell you.
Hold on,
Listen,
wait, hold on.
Lex
I'll
Luthor
finish my
and
sentence.
Brainiac would not be working together if it weren't for us declaring on war on both of them at the same time.
Actually, Pakistan, Iran, and China work together on nuclear technology. So they do, when it's convenient for them, work on things like nuclear bombs. So there is an affiliation, but you're correct. They're the 50% of the planet, of humans on this planet, who live under authoritarians. And so they're authoritarians. They're always going to think in their own interest. They're always going to think in their own interest above their own peoples, let alone the people of another country. They don't care. They don't care about human rights. They don't care about the rights of humans. And they certainly don't care about the rights of humans in another country. And the West is on a noble mission to spread democracy in the world. And that is a noble thing worth fighting for and is worth defending free countries from despots. I know that you are a fan of these folks, Sachs, apparently, and you think they should be able to run amok. I will take the other side of it. I think the West should act in unison. The only criticism I have is that we are not acting in unison. I would like to see the West, instead of sending Biden to Ukraine,
hold on.
I would rather see, hold on, I'd like to have 20
you've
of
talked
them.
enough. You just accused me of somehow being fans of these people. Where did I ever say that I was a fan of Xi in China or Putin or the Ayatollahs in Iran? Hold on.
You said we provoked Putin. Putin invaded another country.
Hold on.
You said we caused it.
I said,
he chose
hold
to
on
do
a second. Hold on a second. I am arguing for a geopolitical strategy that benefits the United States. I'm on Team America. And your policy of driving these people into an axis of evil is foolish for the reason I said, which is we are going to power up the Chinese economy so they are a much more formidable enemy to the United States. That is the last thing we need to do. Now, with respect to, hold on a second, let me finish. You had a chance. With respect to Ukraine and Putin there's no question that Putin invaded, okay? He is the aggressor. However, the question you have to ask is why? And the fact of the matter is that, first of all, we fomented a coup in Ukraine in 2014. This is your democracy spreading that you like, is all of a sudden we got these NGOs and we got Victoria Nuland from the State Department in there basically fomenting these coups. It doesn't work out quite the way you think, J. Cal. That's problem number one, okay? Then we try to run NATO right up to Russia's border, okay? And you expect them just to accept that because we're a benevolent superpower. That's not the way the real world works. Putin was tremendously threatened by that. And it wasn't just him. It was all Russian elites. Read the Bill Burns memo from 2008. Yet means net. He explains that even the liberal elements within Russia were tremendously threatened by NATO expansion. That is what basically poisoned diplomatic relations between the United States and Russia. And it was a major cause of this war. Now, listen, just because you don't think it's provocative doesn't mean that the Russians don't think it's provocative. You have to be able to put yourself in the other guy's shoes for just 1 second. And the fact of the matter is there were diplomatic steps that we could have taken to defuse this crisis in this war, and we didn't do it. And now look what's happened. Hundreds of thousands of people have been killed, and Ukraine's been destroyed. It's been absolutely destroyed. And let me tell you right now, it looks like they're losing this war. So I don't see where your superhero policy has gotten us except to make China richer and more powerful and to destroy Ukraine. That is where your naive idealism has gotten us.
Yeah. And I would say if left to your devices, and you're not engaging and not presenting a united front against Putin, he will invade country after country. The West must fight for democracy. We must fight for human rights, even if it's uncomfortable. And you seem to think we provoked him to invade this country. He's a murdering dictator, authoritarian who has been murdering his own people and other people for his entire career. And he will continue to do so.
Let me clarify, because you're putting words in my mouth, okay? When you say that I think that we provoked him, what I believe is that we took actions that in Russian eyes were provocative.
Yes, you said we provoked it.
I'm saying that from their subjective point of view, they saw these actions as provocative. They said so. Listen, the Russian
which is what I said back to you. We provoked it is your position.
No. Yes. I just explained that's not the words I would
use.
Hold
on. His position is that in their eyes, they were provoked, Jason.
You're talking about, listen, you're talking about no. What?
Oh, shit. Oh, boy.
You're like, what you're doing right now is like dishonest. I just explained the language that I would use.
Yes. Yes. We provoked them.
We took actions that in Russian eyes were provocative. There's a difference.
Yes. Provocative, provoked. Yes. The act of provoking
just stop
them.
lying. Okay. It's getting too much.
Okay. Let's move on. We're never going to agree on this, Sachs. Okay. And by the way, I'd like to remind the audience that nobody on this podcast is an expert on foreign policy. Sachs is not Henry Kissinger. You know, I'm not Obama. So
on last week's show, hold on a second, Jake. On last week's show, you had come around to my point of view. You said this war was a mistake. On the very last show, you said it was a disaster. And now you're basically...
No, hold on. Now you're putting words in my mouth.
Hold on, you're backsliding right back to your Legion of Doom.
No. I believe the West should present a united front, and we should hold the line with Russia invading other countries. That's my belief. I do not think we should be doing this solo. I think we should not be sending Biden. We should be sending 15 leaders of countries to Ukraine. We should be sending people in, and we should be doing a peace process. And I think the military-industrial complex, largely driven by the GOP, is what's at fault here. They want to use these weapons. They want to replenish the supply, and they want to regime change. I don't think we should be going for regime change. I think we should be building bridges. So my point is a little more subtle. My point is a little more subtle.
You're doing it right there. You're basically engaging in this ridiculous rhetoric that we've seen in the media, which is that if you simply want a more realistic American strategy because you believe it benefits America, that you're automatically accused of somehow being a Putin sympathizer. No, you're doing what the mainstream media has done.